Hello folks, Phil Gallagher here of ThrabenU. Today we are playing with a really sweet donation deck list built around Keruga, the Macro Sage. This is a companion with the condition of cards in your starting deck only have CMC 3 or greater, or their lands. When this enters the battlefield, we draw a card for each permanent we control with CMC 3 or greater. So it by itself, assuming that it lives through its own trigger, is a 5/4 for 5 that draws one card. And considering that every single card in our deck is a CMC 3 or greater, like, we're good to go. Now, by Legacy standards, playing things that are only CMC 3 or higher is really scary, so we need a lot of mana acceleration to try and make this work. So we're going to be playing the full 8 Spirit Guides, we're going to be playing Ancient Tombs and City of Traders. Is it Others? Yep, sorry, it is Others. My bad. Okay, so we're going to be playing Cities and Ancient Tombs and 8 Spirit Guide effects in order to ramp these out. We're also going to be playing Eldrazi Temples as honorary soul lands. And our mana base is a little weird. Just going to be 100% honest with you. We're trying to be a very strange deck in that we're trying to cast this Dinosaur Hippo while also wanting to be able to cast these Spirit Guides from time to time, while also maybe wanting a backdoor towards casting Leyline. It's definitely going to be pushed in terms of its mana base, and I know that going in. But, you know, that kind of is what it is. And this is the first deck list that I've seen for Legacy that has been, like, actively trying to do something with Keruga. So I expect this league to be really rough around the edges, but it might reveal some interesting things in terms of, like, deck building potential. So for the folks who are watching this live, I just replaced the Search Stompy deck list with the Keruga deck list, so you'll be able to scroll over that at any time. Let's just kind of hop into a league and see how this goes. I'm excited. I kind of feel like we're going to go 2-3 in this league again, because that's, like, what I've been doing in a lot of these leagues where I'm not playing, like, the most super tuned decks. I feel like the current format is just, like, super punishing to deck lists that are unrefined, just because the Lurrus decks are so good. But we'll see if we can do better than that. The deck list that was submitted didn't originally have Crystalline Giant. It originally had, I don't remember, some other threat, and I wanted to throw in a couple of Crystalline Giants because, like, if we're going to do something crazy and ridiculous, I would like this card to be in there, because I want to see this card spiral out of control. I mean, I'm excited to try this out and, like, have it work a few times, but I'm super skeptical that, like, we're going to lose so many games to our mana base. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do to fix that, because, like, Urborg does some things that are interesting in this shell, but it doesn't actually cast the Hippo Dinosaur thing. So, like, we've got things to think about. This is one of those times where, like, I'm going to try it. We're going to see if it works. I have told my opponent to prepare themselves. They have responded with the fact that they are also playing a brew. We are having a good old-fashioned brew-off. Okay. So we have turn 1 Trinisphere and then can't play a turn 2 thing. But if I draw a land, that's totally fine. So my opponent doesn't have a companion. Yeah, I'll keep this. If they're a combo deck and we stick this Trinisphere on one, we're pretty good. Yeah, I have a sample size of 0 for what opening hands look like with this deck prior to this hand, so I don't know. But as a general rule of thumb, if a hand can produce a turn 1 3-ball, I don't usually throw it back when I'm playing prison decks. And this isn't exactly a prison deck where I guess an aggro deck? I don't know, it's kind of hard to categorize what this deck is, because it's this, like, aggro acceleration deck that also has a card draw endgame. So I don't know if that means, like, we're truly more of a mid-range deck. It's hard to call yourself an aggro deck when the smallest creature in your deck is CMC3, so IDK. So my opponent might be doing some weird, difficult math over there with these opening hands. That was a long time considering that 5. Ooh, are we just like playing against Loam? Giant? Okay, so it's more likely that we're playing against something like a blue-green Primeval Titan ramp deck, in which case turboing out this 3-ball isn't necessarily awesome. And a turn 3 Reality Smasher is probably better than just ramming the 3-ball, because like most of their stuff is going to cost 3 anyway. I think this is just Bayou Pass. Best draw is probably something like a Soul Land. Yep, that's fine. So Life from the Loam would be the thing that like makes me regret not playing out my Trinispheres. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care about you getting the Dryad Arbor. That's a lot of Trinisphere. I think I'm just going to pass the turn again. It's like that, or use one of these Elvish Spirit Guides to put a Matter Reshaper into play, which doesn't feel all that great. Like, I'm okay taking 1 from some Dryad Arbors in order to play a very aggressive Matter Reshaper. My opponent has said, ha 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 ha, oh god. I'll say the same thing that I say every time someone brings up Gemstone Caverns. I don't think that's really a playable legacy card. Like, I'm just not on board with that card on a fundamental level. Ooh! That's a card that I'm excited to see. So they can turn their Dryad Arbor into a 3-drop next turn. Does it sacrifice another? Another at sorcery speed. Just doing the random, like, make sure this doesn't have, like, Death Touch or something that I forgot about. Check. You've been trying to build a Yorion Stompy deck. I think that's kind of problematic at a fundamental level, though. Right? Because the Stompy decks require you to have certain pieces in your opening hand very consistently, and the Yorion decreases your ability to do that. Ooh! Ooh! This is definitely going to slow us down. I was expecting something more along the lines of, like, Eternal Witness, get back a land, rebuy a land. But now my opponent just has a 7/7 or an 8/8 available. Okay, so now I'm in trouble. When we get another land, I can play Crystalline Giant. And, like, maybe over time that gets there, but my opponent will probably just, like, wasteland me again. Maybe not immediately. I need a land right here. So I can attack with Smasher. And almost certainly beat out the Knight of the Reliquary in combat. Let's see what my opponent does. Please don't have Sajiri's Step. So I get to play around one of Maze of Ith or Sajiri's Step, and I can't play around both. Please don't have it. Please don't have it. Please don't have it. I agree. It would be bizarre, but I don't think it's crazy, right? Like, if my opponent is some sort of land-based utility deck, and they also have, like, Alvis Reclaimers and crap in there, and maybe Dark Depths combo, it's not, like, totally crazy that it would be in there. I think it's more likely that I just get, like, Wastelanded here or something. Or, like, they just pull out a Maze of Ith or something and leave it around for later. Fuck! Oh, God. Alright. That's fine. Otter Lady, thank you very much for your support. I hope you are enjoying this. Why is it a Boros fist bump? Okay. I'm going to have to reset that bot at some point, it looks like. Oh, God, it's another night. No. How do I beat this stream of nights? I'll just trade with the Fiend Artisan if that trade is offered. Okay, so we can put the Crystal and Giant in play, and, like, next turn, and then maybe it gets a keyword that, like, kills them somehow. We have serious deck building restrictions. All of our cards have to be CMC 3 or greater, and Dismember ticks that box. Here we go! You monster. You won't even let me see what counter I get. That's fair, because I think Hexproof is one of the billion words printed on there. So, like, now my opponent gets to Volrai Stronghold this stupid Knight of the Reliquary back to the top of their deck, and I'm just terrified. Trinisphere is super bad in this matchup. I don't really know how I'm ever supposed to beat Knight. Well, specifically Knight plus Volrath Stronghold. This is a little late. I can play this and then it kills me. So we're not going to show that and just concede here. Okay. So I have like 4 cards 100% sure that I'm going to want to board out. So we'll probably board in some deluges for that. And a lot of the stuff in the sideboard I can't really sideboard in here because they're part of the Karn package. We don't even have to bring it in. It was in the main deck already. So what am I normally going to wish for with Karn? Probably not this. Maybe this. Maybe this. Maybe this. Maybe this. Maybe this. If I have a Karn that's surviving... Oh, geez, I don't have an Ensnaring Bridge here. I guess I am crashing sideways with giant creatures, so I guess that makes sense. I guess we board that in. I don't know. I could just board in the Tree of Tales and then leave the Wormcoil in the sideboard to wish for. Wormcoil will trade with Knight of the Reliquary. And then I always have a big scary threat in the sideboard. This is turn 2 Karn. I am good with that. Let's think it through, though. What does our turn 2 Karn get us? Like, I'm going to keep it. Our turn 2 Karn is potentially just tutoring up like Wormcoil Engine. I'm going to play this out. If my opponent just, like, wastelands us, it's the worst thing that... Like, it's my most valuable land, but it also opens up the back door of me being able to Karn on turn 2 without having to play a Spirit Guide. So we only have 3 mana this turn, so we won't be doing anything this turn. We can get Karn or Smasher next turn. Probably Smasher. Opponent has a lot of cards, and they're not casting things yet. So the interesting thing here is that if I just play Karn, it shuts off my opponent's Mox Diamond, though. I do not hate that. I think we're just going to do that. If they have Assassin's Trophy specifically, they can float. And we're just going to keep Karn's loyalty high here, and then make decisions about what to do with it later. So now we have Karn threatening to end the game. We also just have, like, Smasher into Smasher. Okay. So that shuts off my Get Walking Ballista and use it to kill Dryad Arbor Line. That's fine. My Karn can just get me a Warm Coil Engine and still have a good chunk of loyalty on it. Well, you know I want to play that. Is there another card I want off of Karn? It can just get me an X-sized creature. I think we just keep Karn alive and leave the Mycosynth Lattice backdoor. The Mycosynth Lattice is weird because of their Stony Silence, and I can't, like, necessarily do it right now. I think it's fine for Karn to just be a distraction. I guess another line I had available to me was Karn minus just get the Sorcerous Spyglass, Fiend Artisan, so that they can't tutor up a Knight. But if they get a Knight, they're dead on board, I think. Oh, not just one. We've got two. And a Karn. And we can play this giant hippo at any point to draw 3 cards. Well, sideboarding was perfect. Let's run it back. Thragtusk gaining a bunch of life, trading with a Smasher, and then leaving a friend around for afterwards would be rough. I will fully admit that. Oh, this has got to be a keep. Turn 1 Thought-Knot Seer. Any land means turn 2 and turn 3 Crystalline Giant. I'm in. Or alternatively, I can say fuck it and go turn 1 Crystalline Giant, turn 2 Crystalline Giant. This may be a time where there's a correct play, and there's a play that my heart wants to make, and those two things are different. Okay. Now that I have the guaranteed turn 2 Crystalline Giant, I'm okay with turn 1 Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, so my opponent has multiple Abrupt Decays. So my Crystalline Giants are definitely worse. The Wasteland means it's going to be hard for me to cast my spells. So, do I just take a Decay, or do I take their endgame payoff and leave them with no dudes? I think I'm supposed to take Primeval Titan here. As much as the Operation put a lot of counters on this card thing goes, like, this is going to be bad from multiple different angles. And if they're spending their time answering those, instead of spending their time dealing with this, I think I end up coming out a little bit ahead. So I still think we play them. I still think it's worth it to trade 2 life for an Abrupt Decay. And they, like, have to answer it because it's a disaster if this thing gets hexproof. I mean, Eldrazi can't even make a turn 1 Thought-Knot Seer, so this deck is better than Eldrazi, right? That's how that works? Yeah, that's cool with me. Rob, shh. Let me have this. Okay. Is it worth 2 life again to Crystalline Giant? Or do I just kill their Thalia? No, I don't kill their Thalia. They have Caracas up. So they're gonna block my Thought-Knot, then bounce. Yeah. So let's play this. Hexproof? What the fuck is this? Hexproof! Yeah! Yes! Oh, man. Oh, God. Okay. If damage would be dealt to Pelucranos while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove that many +1/+1 counters from it. So I can turn you into a 1/1 and then remove 3-ish counters from you. Or I can just play a Karn. It's a very awkward dismember in terms of, like, my mana for the turn. Who knows what keywords Crystalline Giant is going to have? Oh, shoot. No, sorry, that's a Toxic Deluge, not a Dismember. Alright, my bad. Sorry, I got way caught up in thoughts for trains that don't matter. Okay. Golem will get flying has been called? Okay. Lifelink. Okay. Alright. So that Pelucranos is going to kill one of our dudes. What am I getting? And just get the Worm Coil to have a threat for later. I can get the Spyglass to stop, like, Knight of the Reliquary from stripping all my mana. Ratchet Bomb seems kind of slow. Cage to stop Green Sun and Escape. I could buy that. I think I'm going to take the big scary threat here. On the off chance that I have to deluge away the board. And then the next time I minus with Karn, I'm going to get Cage. Yes, that's correct. So this Pelucranos is also legendary. My opponent is saying, needless to say, I was not prepared for this. Blast Zone is interesting. So, flying or menace means that this can get through? Yeah, that thing doesn't reach. Yeah, I've definitely done that where, like, I've been lurking in someone's stream for like 6 months, and then it's like, oh, I wasn't following this person. That's weird. They're just on my recommended channels list because I'm always hanging out there. Oops. My opponent is freaking out over the hex proof. That was so lucky. So, like, this Crystalline Giant picking up a keyword every turn probably means that it can beat the Pelucranos in the long run. But the Blast Zone is a problem. So maybe instead of getting the Wormcoil Engine, I was supposed to minus Karn, get Sorcerer Spyglass, and then name Blast Zone? So I could, quote-unquote, kill their Pelucranos? With Karn... Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to minus our Karn. We're going to get, like, guaranteed get another card out of it. We're going to take the Sorcerer Spyglass here. And we're going to cast it. And this is actually going to do some really interesting things. Alright, so Decay, Heath, Thalia, Thalia. Okay. So now I get to name one of either Caracas or Blast Zone. So we're going to stop the Crystalline Giant from ever leaving play. Unless they use Abrupt Decay to kill the Sorcerer Spyglass first. Hexproof, Lifelink, Vigilance. Okay. So long term, what we're going to set ourselves up to do is just keep the Crystalline Giant in play while working towards Thought-Knot searing the Polukranos out of their hand. Okay. Hexproof, Lifelink, Vigilance. So Polukranos is a little big right now. Five mana available. I can just take a draw 3 here. No, sorry, draw 2 here. I can play the Smasher. Smasher's only okay. No, it doesn't count itself. I misspoke earlier. Alright, let's just roll the Crystalline Giant and see what happens. Like, flying would be gas. Yes! So one of these is on the field. It's between just draw 2 cards and remove the decay so that this can't leave, which I think is my play. Dinosaur? No, I should probably name Spirit in case I draw a Simian Spirit Guide. Ooh, a Plague Engineer. That's interesting, but I don't think it matters. We do not want to plus on the Sorcerous Spyglass, because that opens up Polukranos fight my Sorcerous Spyglass. So, like, when I first saw Crystalline Giant, this is sort of the thing that I imagined happening on a regular basis. And then, like, the companions were so busted that I never really got a chance to play with Crystalline Giant. So, like, I'm super happy that I get to. Like, I don't remember if I worded it as such, but, like, this was definitely one of my sleeper picks from the set that, like, nobody else was talking about and I was super hyped about, because I always play, like, weird Chalice of the Void decks. Okay, so this attack just guarantees that I cannot kill, or sorry, that they can kill Karn no matter what. So I can block here. This should be safe. It kills the Thalia or forces them to bounce it. They can also, like, Polukranos fight my Thought-Nuts here, which might just be better. Two, four, five, six, 7 mana available. I can play Reality Smasher, and it represents 3 damage this turn and trades with Plague Engineer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I can just, like, jam the Wormcoil Engine. Yes, we're not casting this Toxic Deluge this game. Crystalline Giant is going to win us the game. It has gained Reach. Alright, and Crystalline Giant should take them out next turn. If it doesn't, we just play a Wormcoil Engine. Okay. Not gonna lie, I was a little down on Magic when we started the stream today. Now I'm good again. Because now I know that, like, once Luris is out of the picture, I have a new toy to play with. This card is so great. Like, it kind of makes me want to play, like, some old school Mud style deck list that can just, like, power this thing out super consistently. I'm gonna have to, like, learn what all these symbols are, or read small blue text every game. Okay, so That match alone was totally, totally worth price of admission. Yeah, white faces, like, if all of the companions go in, like, a sweeping motion, I could totally see just playing, like, basically the Zerta deck, but you take out the, like, bad cards, like the Basalt Monoliths, and you instead just play, like, a bunch of other aggro threats. Like, just play, like, Thought-Not Seers, Reality Smashers, and Crystalline Giants. Hey, Lomer Boy, I'm planning on playing your Delver deck list tomorrow night, by the way. I was going to play it today, and then I realized I had too many things checked out, and I couldn't borrow all of it. So opponent is on no companion deck. So that might mean that, like, these two disruptive cards that I have in my hand are pretty good. Opponent has no results. I think I keep this. I have 8 draws for a turn 2 Thought-Nuts here. No, that's not true. I have 8 Spirit Guides for turn 1 Thought-Nuts here, plus another 4, 7, 8, 9, 10 lands. So I have 14 draws for turn 2 Thought-Nuts here, ish. Oh boy. There we go. This looming Karn is going to be pretty darn good. Okay, opponent can Ghost Quarter me. Do I have basic lands? No. But they don't know that. I think I leave them with the little stuff. I don't want to lose this game to Palace Jailer. That's a very easy way for me to go. I think they're pretty likely to play Arbiter this turn and try to Ghost Quarter me the following turn, but I don't 100% know for sure. Like, I've revealed a companion, so it's likely that I'm going to have a basic land in my deck. I expect them to pause for a long time thinking about this. Yes, I will use the ability. No, no, it's not in there. Okay, now you know. So my mana base is going to be super disruptible by what my opponent is doing. So assuming they're on Wastelands and Ghost Quarters, I'm going to have a hard time getting off the ground in a lot of games. So I'm definitely going to want to keep, like, aggro-focused hands. Opponent can trade both of their creatures for my Thought-Knot Seer here and get 1 new card out of it, which I'm definitely good with. given that draw. Oh, Tide Hollow Sculler, interesting. Alright, so my opponent is also going to be playing a deck that has a heinous mana base. My opponent is essentially on a 3-color deck, because they're going to have like colorless for Eldrazi and white and black for things like Sculler and like maybe Bob's or something. I don't know, Bob's seems loose if you're playing Eldrazi though. Oh wow, they took the Karn? That's interesting. I'll totally attack with the Thought Nuts here. I would take the 2-for-1 that gives me the Karn back. Okay, opponent is left with 2 lands. I have 8 power on board. I'm going to add 5 power on board on my turn. I don't super understand taking the Karn. I feel like you have a better chance of winning the game via like not being dead to 2/4/4s. But I don't know what other cards they're drawing towards. So I could be very wrong. Alright, my Transfers need to come out for some other reasonable Magic cards. Cheers, HC Fox. Have a great rest of the day. Deluge is probably good. Deluge is super awkward with our Crystalline Giants, as we saw previously, though. But I'm probably bringing these in. So the Transfers are going to come out. And, like, the Null Rods and Ratchet Bombs and such are good, but, like, we need to probably remain a Keruga deck. I don't know that it's worth losing my companion to play, like, one of those. Leyline's also very bad, but if I start with a Leyline, then Karn becomes a backdoor win. Just Karn minus get Helm. Bleh. It's possible Leyline is worse than Trinisphere. Like, I don't want to use resources. Like, I don't really want to be Spirit Guiding in order to play a Trinisphere in this matchup, though. Yeah. So what am I going to want to tutor for most of the time? Most of the time I probably want to get Walking Ballista or Ratchet Bomb or Spyglass. They have Eldrazi, the Wormcoil Engine is interesting. I'm going to board in the Wormcoil Engine when I'm on the draw. And if I'm on the play, I might, like, play a Trinisphere instead. This is turn 2 Karn, which is very good against an Aether Vial start, less good against an Eldrazi start. My opponent mulliganed twice. They mulliganed to 7, and then they mulliganed to 6. So I'm up 2 cards already. Feels good. Yeah, Loomer Boy, absolutely. Seems really interesting. Dismember's cool. That means that I can deal with a non-Thalia threat pretty easily. I don't remember how Tidehollows color is templated. I don't remember if I lose a card forever if I remove it in response. I think I do. Alright, so my opponent knows that that's just Wasteland. Sure, I'll float a mana. Eldrazi Temple. That's interesting. I don't think it's worth playing out Matter Reshaper here in order to use a Spirit Guide. Yeah, so we'll just Eldrazi Temple and pass. Yeah, that was kind of my guess since it's an older card, but I didn't know for sure. Oh wow, just opponent does not have stuff. Okay. Fornia, thank you very much for your continued support. Why did you keep your hand if you have no 2-drops? Like, holy shit. Okay. So if my opponent plays Thought-Knot Seer, I lose this Dismember, and then how do I beat the Thought-Knot Seer? I can play Matter Reshaper to chump block. I'm just thinking if I should take a card from this card now in case my opponent is like somehow playing Council Judgment in their list. I think I'm going to take that line. I think I'm just going to get Ballista for their smaller creatures. And just have that as something that is looming for the rest of the game. Like, I don't mind if I lose the Ballista to, like, a Thought-Knot Seer somehow. My mana's a touch awkward right now. But I imagine that I put my opponent in a pretty weird situation. Like, I see this turn going something like they play a creature, and then I play Matter Reshaper and Dismember said creature. Wow, okay. So they just had like a handful of like Swords of Plowshares, Path to Exiles, and I'm just going to lose whatever creatures I play out. Seems very possible. I want to know. I want to know. Alright. I don't know why they just didn't play a creature to the board. Seems like that's kind of something they need to do to pressure my Planeswalker. And, like, force me to play the Walking Ballista for a smallish number and trade. I have both of their creatures covered. They're named Keruga, so they can't bounce my my commander friend when the hippo comes to play later. Alright, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 available next turn. So I will probably just like play this and draw a couple cards. The question is, like, how aggressively do I want to be just like losing my lands? I think I want to play lands and just work towards having enough that I'm good and have stable mana over time. Like, every turn I sit with that City of Traders in play is one turn where I'm missing a land drop. So I think I'm going to play a land, offer the Matter Reshaper to Swords to Plowshares. My opponent has declined that trade. Yeah, that's a very good draw. So I'm going to take the Monarch back right now. The question is, like, how do I want to do it? So, like, I just dismember, then animate Sorcerer, Spyglass, and crash in. And so the question is, like, how am I playing the rest of my turn? Because I could play a 1/1 Walking Ballista, but then that's super awkward with the Plague Engineer, so I probably don't want to do that. Alternatively, I can use my Elvish Spirit Guide and my Walking Ballista right now, and then save the Dismember for the Plague Engineer or Flicker Wisp that's going to come later. That might be better. It uses my mana slightly more efficiently, kind of, and leaves myself more flexible. Defending the Monarch becomes very important. And it doesn't matter if I 2-for-1 myself, if I'm left with, like, a Planeswalker, an effective creature, and I'm getting the Matter Reshaper back as well. So I'm pretty well positioned in the Monarch subgame here. Mechagodzilla indeed has arrived. The Ghost Quarter's okay. Like, it's a wasteland. But, like, wastelanding the person who is the Monarch is often not a winning proposition. It probably keeps me from double spelling, so they probably have to do it. But, like, just playing a Flicker Wisp or just playing a Plague Engineer isn't enough for them. And if they do something like Flicker Wisp my Karn so that they can put another Plague Engineer in as well and have 2 bodies, then they reset the loyalty on my Karn. Oh, that's interesting. So I can just play Crystalline Giant and let that thing start ticking up. And I'd be totally fine with that. I can also see if my opponent wants to trade Battery Shaper for Plague Engineer, because that's something that probably favors me. If I play Crystalline Giant, I probably need to hold both creatures back so that Flicker Wisp can't just, like, push one of them out of the way. I can also just hold up double Dismember while plussing my Karn. I don't hate that. The thing I have to worry about is my opponent just, like, spiking another Palace Jailer. I think I'm just going to Dismember. Leyline of the Void, right on time. We have not cast the Hippo at all. I think we had one opportunity to cast it, I think, and we didn't meet it. It just kind of hangs out and threatens. A Thought-Knot Seer. A Reality Smasher. A Walking Ballista. Another Palace Jailer. That's unfortunate. So this time around, I don't have an artifact in play. I don't think haste is one of the things on Crystalline Giant. No. Another one. So we'll be hoping for the hexproof counter so that my opponent can't knock whatever counter I get off of it with Flicker Wisp. I'm a master. So we play a land, and that way we can hold up a Dismember for their creature. We have not helmed yet. Sure. All right, Crystalline Giant, what are you doing now? Do a thing. Lifelink? Menace. I get to become the Monarch. I get my creature back. We didn't put this on Spirit because we wanted to play towards being able to like cast our commander thing if we got Wastelanded. So we're not going to play anything else this turn. I have mixed feelings about the Dismembers. We're taking a crap ton of damage off of them. Like, between the Pain lands that are in the deck and the Ancient Tombs and the Dismembers, it's so much damage that this deck probably can't have all of those together at the same time. Food for thought for future iterations of the deck. So you can't Fatal Push, right? Because you have this Hippo. And it says you can't play Fatal Push. Interesting. So, like, they're going to keep a Vial in one land. And I'm going to keep a monstrous creature a land. So, like, I keep this. I guess I keep this. And I click done. I get to do something cool off Matter Reshaper, hopefully. I just draw a Reality Smasher, that's fine. My opponent's on a 2-turn clock, and I have a hexproof menacing creature. Oh, sorry. Now it's a slightly bigger hexproof menacing creature. So you need to have a 3-drop here. You just like need to have a 3-drop here to have any chance, I think. Okay, that's not super what I'm looking for right now. But if things go wrong somehow, that's not the end of the world. Dude, Crystalline Giant with his hexproof counter is just absolutely insane. All right, wins for Crystalline Giant. 2. All right, those have been some long, ridiculous games. I'll be right back. I'm going to leave the deck list up here for everyone to take a look at. And just looking at the text of this card again, for like people who were talking about like Fatal Push and Chalice and such. So this doesn't work quite like Luris does. It's your starting deck only contains cards with converted mana cost 3 or greater and lands. So you can't play things like the spells that don't fit the restrictions. All right, I'll be right back. All right. Hippo OP, ban all companions. Well, sooner or later we're gonna like cast this thing, and it's gonna be the difference maker in a game, and that'll be super cool. But we're not there yet. So this deck does some weird things. This is probably one of the fastest like Thought-Knot Karn decks I've ever played since you're running the full 8 Spirit Guides. So I've lost the die roll. This hand feels like a trap, where like I keep this play turn 1 Trinisphere, and then I get wastelanded and die. So, like, I'm going to lose to Wasteland, Daze, Force, Pierce, Other Force. I'm going to ship this one. Not happy about this hand. But I have multiple lands, which I think is probably important in this matchup. Okay, so like I kind of assumed that I was playing against Delver, but it looks like we're just going to be playing against like Death and Taxes or White Weenie or something of that nature. So given that, yeah, let's jam the turn 1 Planeswalker. And in the absence of knowing what my opponent is doing, I'll just tutor for Ballista this turn. Ooh, a Ratchet Bomb. Actually, let's get Ratchet Bomb. That's a better unknown play. So now I can minus get Ballista and like leave Ballista chilling. I think I'm good with that. And I don't even need to activate that yet. I don't think I need to play around like Restoration Angel. You know, because cat. Position's actually not looking amazing after that specific combination of cards. Like, my opponent just goes, like, land Luris here. I am in trouble. Alright, so my initial advantage has crumbled apart due to my opponent's mana denial. And that's okay. Yikes. That I'm not going to beat. I don't think. I think I'm going to go ahead and scoop this one up to double Avenger. So, like, I could play out to draw Ancient Tomb for Ratchet Bomb, take both of those off the field, but I don't get very many draws to do that, and I also just think I'll lose to the Luris afterwards. Definitely do not want Trinisphere against this deck. Let's go Deluges in. And then board in the Wormcoil. The ley lines are obviously not great, but like they will do things against my opponent's Loris. Yeah, so like if there's anything my streams have done, I think it's showing how good fast mana is. And turn 1 Leyline, turn 2 Reality Smasher. Okay. I think traditional Death and Taxes has a lot of problems. What do I want to get wastelanded if I lose one of my lands? Probably the Ancient Tomb. The life loss is super relevant as the game goes along. Giver's Colorless Clause is going to matter in this matchup. But the trample on Reality Smasher is pretty dumb as well. How much mana is this dinosaur? 5? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so next turn we get dinosaur, draw 2. Seems fine. I don't know if my opponent can afford to Ghost Quarter me. Okay, now they can. If I've learned anything, it's that this deck should have at least one basic land. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can dismember this Giver. But I don't have to do that in this turn cycle, because Giver can't protect itself. I also will probably not... That sucks. I was going to say I probably won't kill the Giver, but I might need to now. So I can kill the Spirit later. But I don't think I need to make a move yet. Okay, so we'll take out their board once I get a black source. We're just hoping not to get Ghost Quarter or Wastelanded again. That doesn't matter. That dies as well as soon as we get a black source. We have Spirit Guides. This is worth playing. Vigilance. Cool. All right. So Sarah Avenger would be kind of an annoying draw, in that if our opponent plays that... Okay, yeah, that's fine. Sorry, to finish thought, if our opponent plays that, then like we have to deluge for X equals 3 and lose our Crystalline Giant unless we randomly get the +1/+1 counter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I can just play this. The Spirit of the Labyrinth will stop the draw, but having a 5/4 in play is pretty decent. I think I do it. It's really awkward if my opponent has Caracas. But I think if they had Caracas, they would have played it out, because that allows them to hold up protection for their Thalia. I did not think Spirit of the Labyrinth was going to have relevant text against me, but here we are. Alright, so opponent is trying to go aggro here. Ooh, another Spirit. Oh, baby. Oh, yes. I'm not going to get cued by attacking first. It could make my life very awkward. Two gets rid of Giver and the rest of their board. Hippo has resolved. Hippo's also pretty darn good here. Like, just having something that is on the board after that sweeper puts a lot of pressure on my opponent to have a removal spell ASAP or draw Caracas, and I still have Dismember for their Luris. Am I removing the cat? If I remove the cat right now, I take 4. I'll go to 7. I'm not removing the cat right now. Alright, so we have Dismember for the Luris that is going to hit play this turn in all likelihood. The Dismember costs me 1 life. Which is a very awkward number. Because I might just die to a creature next turn from my opponent. So, like, if my opponent plays creature, they Crew Smuggler's Copter and hit me for 5. That's a great draw. Attack first. No. Thought-Knot's here first. Okay, I think that did it. Or at least forces my opponent into a really weird position where they, like, maybe have to chump block with 2 creatures to stay alive. Alright, let's see if they get a good value name with Phyrexian Revoker. Karn seems like a fine name. Okay, so I attack in with both my creatures. Both have to be blocked. That seems fine. So opponent can, like, loot into a CMC1 removal spell. And I potentially die. But that did not occur. Which is great. I think that's GG's. I feel like there was something I said I was going to do differently when I was on the draw, but I don't remember what it was. Maybe I should just board in another land when I'm on the draw. And it's just, like, slightly more likely that it's slightly more likely that my opponent just, like, starts with, like, Vile and then Wasteland me, Ghost Quarter me, and just, like, have one more land to draw towards. I can see that being reasonable. Turn 1 Cavern, turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer. That's fine. We neuter my opponent's Lurrus, which I'm good with. Llanowar Waste versus Cavern. Cavern I would put on Spirit. Yeah, I'm good with losing this. I would love to draw Ancient Tomb or Eldrazi Temple, so I don't need to lose this city to play an early Thought-Knot Seer. I think that's going to be very good for me. That was top with the Scries from Charming Prince. Okay. Really interesting position now. In terms of, like, my sequencing. I can just, like, jam a Reality Smasher down my opponent's throat ASAP. But I think it's probably better to Thought-Knot this turn, and the question is, how do I Thought-Knot? I can Thought-Knot playing City of Traders and using 1 Spirit Guide, and then if I don't get Wastelanded or Ghost Quartered, I have Reality Smasher the next turn, and that's a very strong line to play towards. Or I can just play out a regular land, play double Spirit Guide, and say, I think this game is going to go on long enough that I want to have access to City of Traders later on in the game. I think I want to have access to city later on in the game. This is going to mean I'm slightly less likely to reality smash her next turn as a follow-up play. Oh, maybe that's bad. Like, I have no follow-up play next turn since I'm sitting on mono lands. Alright, let's go aggressive. Good God. Okay, well, I'll be taking the path to exile. But opponent's hand is strong. I'm pretty glad that I decided to take the aggressive route. Like, maybe we can end this before my opponent gets double Sarah Avenger in play. Life gets super awkward for me when they get Avengers into play. Oh, geez, that's so bad. Yikes. Alright, this game is now officially a disaster. No, I would like to cast that. Well, I would not like to cast that. I'm going to cast that. So, what am I playing towards? 3 of Deluge is the big one, which is why I played out the Spirit Guide, so that like it can maybe keep some of the stuff on the ground from attacking. Deluge is the best. There's worlds where I can maybe get a Ratchet Bomb to 2, but that's pretty unlikely given how much my opponent has going on in the air. If I get Karn, Karn will not live for more than 1 turn cycle. Karn can get Helm if I draw it this turn, and then Helm can be a win. Alright, Crystalline Giant. Am I playing you? So if I play it and it gets flying, it can trade with a Sarah Avenger. If I draw Deluge, it's so bad that I played it. So what happens if my opponent turns all of their creatures sideways? If they turn all of their creatures sideways, I just die, right? I block Spirit and Charming Prince, and then I take 8. Meaning that I can't tap the Ancient Tomb? I don't need to tap the Ancient Tomb as of right now, though. So even though we have red spirit guides to draw towards, I think we named Dinosaur still to be able to cast our little companion friend. If we somehow draw Toxic Deluge and start to stabilize. Actually, maybe I needed to play Crystalline Giant because if my opponent does all-out attack me, then Deluge for X equals 3 is no longer an out. I should have played out the Crystalline Giant, but they missed that, so that's good for me. I guess I still have a problem in that doing it for X equals 3 kills me off the pain land of Llanowar Wastes. Alright, we didn't draw it anyway. GG's. I'm not sure if we win that game if our opponent doesn't rip the Wasteland off the top on the turn we thought not suited them. But that was a brutal turning point of the game for us. Like, with them having multiple Serra Avengers, it's possible that they either aggro us out or are able to trade for the bodies okay. But I don't really think I have any chance of beating them if they rip that Wasteland there. Well, outside of us, like, drawing towards the Deluges. So thoughts on the deck list so far. Mana base is definitely loose. I want more Crystalline Giants. I don't want Matter Reshapers, I don't think. I probably want one fewer City of Traders. My land sticking around is kind of a big deal. I maybe want another removal spell other than Dismember because the life is costly, but like at the same time, it's something that can kill early creatures, so... eh? Yeah, I could see like one basic land for Path to Exile reasons. Like we've gotten Path many, many times so far. I'm in. We'll get turn 2 Thought-Knot-Seer or Karn, followed by the other one the following turn. I'm going to deal, quick math check, 1 billion points of damage to myself this... What? Oh. Alright, so we're like playing against like Luricles, I guess, with basic forest. Huh. So given that information, I probably don't need to play around Daze. So I can just like jam a turn 1 Matter Reshaper, turn 2 Thought-Knot-Seer, turn 3 Karn. I think I'm good with that. I am straight up like probably going to kill myself with these Ancient Tombs and then just get like attacked by a Snapcaster Mage once and die. Beautiful mana. God, this Karn though. This Karn though. That seems like a very strange source of Plowshares to me. Like, I don't know what their hand is, but I very likely would have waited until the end of turn to see what comes next. Okay. That kind of makes sense if they were planning on, like, forcing whatever I did. So this is 5 mana. I can play Eldrazi Temple and take less life loss here, but then I can't play this next turn. So I think we're just going like YOLO on the life total front. All right, Brainstorm, hide the goodies. That's okay. Rough. So now we have no idiots in play with which to draw cards. So I don't think it's worth just playing this out into Caracas, even if I can make it uncounterable. My opponent's not going to miss that on board. I guess technically I should have played out Llanowar Wastes for Dismember reasons over Eldrazi Temple. Yup. I also need to hold this Dismember in all likelihood for their Lurrus. Otherwise I don't beat that, which means I have to take a bunch of Snapcaster beats that I don't want to take. But I don't think I can afford to be shields down to the Lurrus. It sucks because they also can just like play Lurrus with Caracas up, and I won't be able to touch it. But maybe I can set something up where like I play my companion, they bounce it, and then I get to kill their Lurrus. Not in a good position, that's for sure. What abomination of a mana base are they playing over there with all of these different basics? Oh, okay. Not Luricles. At least not in the traditional sense. Okay, so that's really bad. If I answer that, they just play Lurrus and bring it back. Yeah, straight up, I think that beats me. And like now they're hellbent, so their next turn almost certainly will be like Lurrus and play Tarmogoyf again if I dismember this. Alright. Yikes. So that Caracas on the other side of the battlefield was very damning, that match. So I have these random Tarmogoyfs to think about, and also 4 different colors worth of spells. I don't think I'm going to be sideboarding much. Most of my cards that are good are really Karn targets. I probably need to keep the Dismembers for like Ice Vanquaddles and Tarmogoyfs. I don't know that I really get to sideboard. Like, I can Deluge to try to deal with multiple creatures from their side of the battlefield. But it's super awkward if that gets countered. Like, if I try to Deluge away a Tarmogoyf and they Force of Will it. It's like I gave a Tarmogoyf double strike for a turn, essentially. Oddly enough, I don't think the Trinispheres are particularly good. Like, I play Trinisphere, my opponent gets to 3 lands, they play Tarmogoyf. And, like, Tarmogoyf is going to line up very well against a bunch of my threats. This is quite good. So I get a Leyline to stop their Lurrus, and then I get turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer into turn 3 Reality Smasher. And we hope that's good enough. We shut off Lurrus and Snapcaster Mage. My opponent can be playing Wilt, or any number of other things. It looks like they're in 4 colors. Wasteland too, huh? How do you get away with Wasteland, at least 4 different basics, and Caracas? Like, opponent's obviously doing it, so like maybe it works, but let's play this and see if it spirals out of control. Yeah, this has definitely been a crazy league. Boo. So that was a Force of Will pitching a Force of Negation. We get Matter Reshaper if we don't draw a land. We get Thought-Knot Seer if we draw any land. So this is a game where I don't think we lose unless our opponent has Wasteland. Ooh, do I just block? Like, spiking a land is so good for me. I don't think I'm going to block. They play another Tarmogoyf, they play another Tarmogoyf. I expect to get, like, Ice Fang Coattled here. Okay, just Snapcaster Mage. That's fine. Perfectly happy with that trade. Oh, so that's interesting. I think I put that in hand so I can Thought Knot Seer twice in a row. Okay, we took Tarmogoyf, leaving them with Tundra and Underground Sea as their remaining cards. So they'll just fetch in a way that allows them to play Lurrus this turn. Uh, so I can trade a Thought Knot Seer for a Tarmogoyf, and that gives my opponent a card, which I can then take with a Thought Knot Seer. In all likelihood, or it's a land and it's moot. There's also the world where they just don't block. But I think they're going to trade. We'll see. All right, here's to hoping that they drew something that I can actually take. Abrupt Decay. All right, I am glad that they at least get somewhat punished for that mana base. The Lurrus is still looming, and I've done a billion damage to myself, though. Why are you not playing the Lurrus? That does not make a lot of sense to me. So did you draw Force of Will? Am I attacking? Am I playing Matter Reshaper? I think I'm attacking. Like, Lurrus is still looming. It's still a huge problem. Alright. Ice Vancoatl is about the worst thing here. Opponent has had a number of runners off the top. I think I have lost. So, like, there's worlds where I win. But I think they're few and far between. Like, I'm the aggro deck in this matchup for the most part, I think. And, like, they're at 17, and I'm more or less in a position where I have to chump block. The Tarmogoyfs are super awkward for me in terms of, like, my deck's ability to deal with stuff. Karn for Helm is a backdoor win. If opponent just plays Luris this turn, then that's no longer an out for me. City of Traders would be great. I'm going to need City of Traders as my next draw step, I think. Ah, they brainstormed into Force of Will. Boo. Oh, nope, JK. Alright. So Tarmogoyf hits us down to 2 so that we can't tap this Ancient Tomb. We're dead to Snapcaster Mage, just killing us. We're not dead to that, just killing us. Opponent might also just kill the Karn. Like, they don't know whether or not I have Bridge. And Bridge could be very awkward for them, depending on like how many answers to artifacts and enchantments they have in. They probably have like 2-ish wilt. I don't know. I don't want to say anything with authority because like obviously my opponent is playing like quite the brew here. So they're going for me. City, dismember. That is unfortunate. Now we play towards my opponent not knowing how my cards work. Fuck, X can't be 0. I can't even bluff that. I can't even bluff that. Boo. Alright. I was hoping we could activate it for X equals 0 and then have my opponent concede with that on the stack. Did we see cantrips from my opponent in that match, other than Brainstorm? I'm just trying to think if we saw a Ponder. I don't remember seeing one. I have lots of mana, but I do nothing with this hand other than open on a ley line. Turn 1, YOLO 3-ball with no lands? I think not. Okay. So this is Ancient Tomb, Spirit Guide, Trinisphere. So this is my turn 1. So I think I'm throwing back a Spirit Guide for sure. And then it's a question of, like, do I want to have a green source towards Dinosaur, or do I want to have more non-Ancient Tomb lands? I think I want more non-Ancient Tomb lands. This game's going to go slow once my Trinisphere is in play. Well, if this is Red Prison, this Trinisphere is not going to be that good. I'm still casting it in case this is burn. But this could be very awkward. Like, they just go Blood Moon and I flop around and die. That's also very good against me. So I'm probably working towards a Karn win against this deck due to that Ensnaring Bridge. Which one is this? Awaken Inferno. Okay. In the main. So Karn into Ratchet Bomb on 3 potentially beats this. I'm going to be playing out various big dumb cards that I draw for Keruga reasons. Like, every card that I have in play just represents another draw. And every creature that I have in play... Okay. This is good. This is very good. I'm not sure that I'm supposed to telegraph my Ratchet Bomb until next turn. And, like, next turn I almost, with 100% certainty, want to play Ratchet Bomb. So I think I'm just going to blow this up in case, like, I randomly lose the Karn somehow. Okay, opposing Trinisphere is fine. This Ratchet Bomb's so awkward if they, like, Fiery Confluence or Abrade me. Maybe I just win via Mycosynth Lattice Lockout. And so I just take Tree right now. Also awkward in case of Fiery Confluence. Alright, I have a Death Toucher. Like, now Fiery Confluence can blow up 3 artifacts. Yeah, awkward. Okay, so let me just confirm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have Mycosynth Lattice. Nobody ever gets to cast things again. My opponent's hand size will increase, and I get to kill them. I also can't cast things, they also would deck first. Yeah, seems like that's GG. Yep. Alright, pretty happy with how that played out. Not going to want the Trinisphere, so I'll want to board in some other things instead that do stuff. Are we the aggro deck, or are we the control deck here? So, like, I can play Toxic Deluge. To, like, stop opposing goblins. I guess it's not going to stop Magus of the Moon. Like, if we get mooned, we lose access to all of our colored stuff for the most part. We have a lot of colorless stuff, but, like, some of our colorless stuff actually isn't castable. So I think we're probably doing this and this. Most of the time, I see us trying to, like, Lattice or Spyglass or Ratchet Bomb rather than get Wormcoil Engine, so I think it's fine to board like this. And I'm also going to refill on water. Alright. Sorry about that, folks. But I'm thirsty. Turn 1 Leyline for reasons. Turn 2 Reality Smasher. That's good enough for me. I also have a Dismember for an early Magus of the Moon, which I quite like. I know, right? Is it Bone Crusher? Ooh, wow, Grim Monolith. That is a non-traditional inclusion. So that makes sense with their, like, Chandra Torch of, or Chandra Awakened Infernos that we saw in Game 1. That's super interesting. We could be facing down some scary stuff. That made me laugh, fine and Andy. Thank you. I hope your collaborative grading doesn't drive you too crazy. All right. So that's pretty good here. Yeah, I was going to say, we really care about it if they do a follow-up play like that. Okay. So life's hard with turn 2 Chandra with Ensnaring Bridge. So I can beat this similarly to before. Crystalline Giant's really awkward with the Chandra at such high loyalty, because unless I spike the plus, or no, even if I spike the +1/+1 counter, I'd have to spike Hexproof in order to like beat the Chandra. So I think I'm dead. I'm going to play this one slow under the assumption that I'm not dead, and I like draw a Karn quickly, and I'm okay. If I draw a Karn quickly, I have like Leyline, Karn, Helm as an option. That also makes life harder. So in some ways this is better because like now I can play out this land. Alright. Hexproof, little buddy. You can do it. I believe in you. No, that was flying. That was not hexproof. This is the most mana I've like ever seen Chandra make. Okay. That will beat me. Like this on 7 was already devastating, but like I'm gonna see what they get. So like for example, if they got something like Voltaic Key, that would just be terrifying. Like then I'd know that they have a whole bunch of monoliths. All right, let's go ahead and call it there. We're not super good at beating these bridges. Real talk, though, I can consider getting rid of my Keruga to just play a bunch of Null Rods. Now that I know my opponent is on like Grim Monoliths and traditional Chrome Moxen, it may be worth sacrificing my 5/4 draw card, which is going to be hard to cast in this matchup, in order to just play a bunch of cards in the main deck that otherwise I wouldn't have access to. So like, what would that look like? So like, I could play 3 Null Rod. Yeah, I know. Relax. I still want this in the sideboard. I still want this in the board. I still want this in the board. That. So like, I can board to having another threat in the board and eliminate one of my weaker creatures that'll be hard to cast under a Blood Moon. So the awkward thing about this Null Rod plan, though, is that if I do this, it becomes much harder for me to win the game via Helm of Obedience. Or Walking Ballista, which are my best kills when Bridge is out. So this is actually really interesting. I'm so bad at beating Bridge. And, like, this would make me worse at beating bridge. But it may stop my opponent from, like, being able to stabilize under a bridge. It's very weird all in all. I think I'm going to try this for science. So this is Eldrazi Temple, Spirit Guide, Null Rod turn 1, Matter Reshaper on turn 2, Karn on turn 4, 3 if we draw a Spirit Guide or Soul Land. Alright, science. I could also just, like, play this on turn 2 to guarantee turn 3 Karn. But if I'm doing this plan, I think I have to commit to it and not give my opponent to play a chance to play a 3-drop off Chrome Moxen. So now hopefully I can play a Thought Knot and bridge them. Or sorry, and take their bridge before they can play it. Oh, that feels good. That feels good. Pyroblast? I think that's, like, literally in there to be a red card that goes under Chrome Mox, in case anyone is curious. Joke's on them. What Keruga? Okay, so I'm not going to get to Thought Knots here this game, so we'll just play Karn the Great Creator. I guess I should have done this pre-combat and attacked with my Null Rod. I didn't think about that. Spyglass for the Chandra that I know about is fine. I can also Ballista. I think I'm just going to get Ballista. Let's just try to end this. But I definitely missed 2 points of damage here that I didn't need to miss. All right. Very happy to get a 3-2 with this deck list. Very, very happy. As we saw over the course of this stream, I think this strategy needs some work. Like, there are some real problems, but I don't think it's anywhere near as crazy as people thought to try out a Keruga deck list after trying this out. Like, 8 Spirit Guides, making it so that I can very consistently do one of these things on turn 1 or 2 is pretty strong, and that's, like, kind of the same thing that we're seeing out of the Zerta decks as well. But as a whole, this card didn't do a lot this week. And I'm okay with that. Like, in terms of power level, like, this is something that I'm totally fine with for Legacy, where, like, occasionally you get to cast this and it's super cool. Not, like, it defines every single game, and any game where you don't answer it in one turn is just devastating. like, things that I saw this league were that, like, Crystal and Giant is absolutely absurd if your opponent doesn't remove it quickly. That early mana acceleration, like I've been preaching with decks like this, or an alternative take here, the early mana acceleration was very, very strong today. But as far as overall consistency goes, I don't know that we're more consistent than something like Eldrazi. So, like, we get this big burst at the beginning, and then as we went on to the mid and late game, a lot of times I was actually mana starved, and I just couldn't cast Keruga. Which is part of the reason why I sat in the sideboard a lot of times. The Leylines were definitely interesting. We probably stole a couple games off of Leyline. It's not like we played against Dredge and the game just, like, instantly ended, but there were a couple of times where we didn't have to really worry about Luris or Snapcaster flashing some stuff back later on. So if I were going to take a lesson away from this league, I think it would be to try out... Well, there would be two things I'd try out. I would try out a red Persian deck with Grim Monoliths like my opponent was playing. Like, that's super interesting to me, and I think pretty good. And I would also be interested in just trying a couple other decks that just have, like, 8 Spirit Guides, just like YOLO, let's go. Because I've been trying, like, the 4-petal, 4 Chrome Moxen builds, but if you're colorless, it's okay to be playing the Spirit Guides. The reason why I haven't been playing Spirit Guides is, like, A, Luris when I'm in white, and B, I need the colored mana. But if you're looking to accelerate things out like Crystal and Giant, Karn, Thoughtnuts here, you don't care that it's colored mana. Yeah, so super happy to have played this deck list. This was a lot of fun, very enlightening. Just as far as power level goes, this feels like, Keruga feels like something that would be okay in Legacy. So, like, I think everyone has the memo by now that, like, Luris is real good. And, like, whether or not, like, Luris could go, and then, like, Yorion and Zerda would be okay, like, and, like, Gyruda, like, those are all kind of whatever, but, like, I don't think you necessarily would have to get something like this out of the format. Like, it felt like we played good games of Magic today that were interesting, and our companion did not seem oppressive at all. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Donation queue is relatively short. I think Connor is changing what he wants me to play. So I think instead of playing Delver, we're going to play something else. And then I just have one more thing in the queue beyond that. So if you are interested in getting something on stream later this week, that's something that can probably happen. I'm going to go ahead and host our good friend Arkin now. I hope you all have a great rest of the day.